Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the new and improved Tilton Talk Show. As you can see, it's just me, Mr. Fun, tonight. Best wishes to Chris, who is having an operation next week. He's not too well at the moment, so hopefully he'll be better soon. And Nick as well, also struggling a little bit with knee problems, but hopefully he'll be back and raring to go within the near future. So basically we'll start off with the game on Saturday. Evening, Paul, thanks for joining. So the Saturday, Ipswich away, really I think if we're being realistic, we could have called a 1-1 pretty early on, to be honest. They're the draw specialists at the moment, and we had two consecutive draws as well. So a 1-1 really, it's another point closer to safety. The Burton result, winning at Huddersfield, didn't help. I didn't see that coming, first of all, and it certainly didn't help. But thankfully Brighton did a job beating Blackburn, so that kept them down there. So we're 6 points clear now of the bottom three. After that result, I don't know. I unfortunately didn't go. I don't know if anybody on the Facebook tonight went and could tell me a little bit about how the game went. I've seen the highlights. Grounds obviously getting forward from left wing back to get his goal, which was important, but unfortunately we couldn't hold on. Them grabbing a goal with about 15 minutes left from what looked like a cross to me, but obviously a lot of people will say a cross shot, but a point really, like I say, it's what I expected from the game, to be fair. Ipswich have got that knack at the moment. They're not in a great run. There's a bit of disharmony. I think a lot of people, we've got disharmony at the moment, but there's a lot of that at Ipswich as well. I don't think a lot of the fans are happy with the way the club's going at the moment. I don't think a lot of them are happy with the manager at the moment, and they do seem to be a bit like us, drawing their way to safety at the moment. But Forest get a point as well away at Preston. Wigan lost. I think even though they won at our place, I thought that might give them a little bit of a boost winning at our place, but they haven't picked up results since then. So I think really you could almost, obviously Rotherham have gone, you could almost put Wigan in that bracket now. I think they'll be a bit disappointed that they haven't picked up the results. So really I think it's one from about six. Tough games coming up now. Just having a look. Daz says definitely looked like an overhit cross to me. I agree, Daz. I think he'd be pushing a lot of people to persuade them that was our actual shot. And as good as pleasing as it was for Grounds to get the goal, getting forward from left wing back, he probably just lacked that little bit of pace to stop the cross getting in the first place, which obviously would have prevented any overhit cross going in. But Pete Taylor says result could have been worse. Absolutely. I think I've read somewhere about Zola chatting with McCarthy after the game and saying that in Zola's view it was a must not lose game rather than a must win game. Now I'd have said it the other way. I think really against a team like Ipswich who aren't playing well at the moment, you really do. Your ambition is to go and win that game and put them to the sword and heap even more pressure on them. But in light of the circumstances, another point. Make sure that I see what he means in a sense. Make sure that Ipswich don't push away from us as well, which they could have done with the 3 points. So a point, and it could have been worse. Pete, you're right. Andrew, how many points do you realistically think we are going to get with our remaining fixtures? I think we'll struggle to get 5. I was having a look earlier on, actually, Andrew, and I can't see anything on Tuesday. We'll go into that a little bit. Brighton away, obviously they're flying, desperate for promotion, and they're in a really good. Obviously with Burton beating Huddersfield, that was a massive win. Then beating Blackburn, and Burton obviously beating their closest rivals in Huddersfield. So they'll be flying. I can't see us getting anything there. Anything we do get will be a bonus. And then it's Derby, obviously with the return of a former manager on Saturday, which will be really tough because he'll know us inside out. But then after that, we've got Rotherham away, who have just already been relegated, and Burton at home. And I really think now, as mad as it sounds, that's our season. Our season now boils down to 2 games. The Rotherham away and Burton at home. If we win both of those, I don't think we'll go down. I think if we go down after winning those 2 games, it means everybody else has gone on unbelievable runs. So I think if we win those 2, really, it will be fine. Obviously, Bristol City on the last day, it could be massive, but I think if we beat Rotherham and Burton, then it probably won't come down to that. Optimistically, you want to win those games. So if you say you win those games and maybe get a point, Huddersfield might have secured a playoff place by then, so they might rest a few players. It's that stage of the season where if they know they can't get automatic and they know that they're going to be in the playoffs, they might start resting a few players for the playoffs, might nick a point at home to them, and then Bristol City, it depends whether they're playing for anything. If it isn't, it might be a boring end of season draw. Possibly 7 to 8 points, maybe, Andrew, optimistically. Ray says Blues did okay at Ipswich and were very comfortable, no real cutting edge. That's another thing I'd like to ask people. You look at the team when it was announced, and the one thing that struck out for me was an alarming lack of pace. You had the back 3, obviously, Grounds at left wing back, and then 4 central midfielders behind Jutkovic. You've got players like Magoma, who obviously sent Cottrell out on loan. Magoma hasn't featured very much, if at all, under Zola. I know he had the African Cup of Nations and then he had an injury, but I'd have thought he'd have come back in. And you've got Adams, who's quick and sprightly, and you've got some of the younger kids as well. One of my points was the under-23s won again today, winning 3-1, and Ronan Hale scored, and Wes McDonald scored, who's in a really good vein of form at the moment. And you just think maybe just a little bit more pace in the side could do with that. Rather than, obviously, he's gone with the structure that's hard to beat, and we've drawn 3 on a row now, so it is making us more hard to beat. But we are just lacking, like Ray says, that cutting edge, that ability to break through teams. Maybe the lack of pace is an issue there. He also says would have taken a point if the situation was different. I think you're right. Even though Ipswich are in a bad run, and there is a bit of hostility there, a point is still good away from home in the Championship. If you're picking up points away and winning your home games, ideally, then you're in a good position. But obviously, the situation we're in, we're really looking at 3 points rather than 1 point. Daz Hines says 1 win from here till the end of the season will be enough with the likes of Rotherham and Burton. If we win at Rotherham, I think that takes a lot of pressure off us for the Burton game then, and obviously it depends on what Burton have done up to that point. But I agree, maybe one win and a couple of points will be enough. That'll get us to the 50 points. So that Rotherham, I mean, if you can't beat Rotherham away at the moment, then you deserve to be down where we are. Heath Burgess has commented, I can't see us picking up points in the next 2. Rotherham will be relegated by the time we play them. They're actually relegated now, Heath, so you are right. How many teams, when they get relegated, no pressure, start to win, players playing for contracts? Well, that's a point. That is a good point, and it does happen once teams are relegated. It's strange to say it, but the pressure's off as such, and they can play with a little bit more freedom, but I think they're such a level down from anybody else in the Championship. You really have to beat them. Yeah, everybody else has beaten them. I think they've only amassed 17 points all season. So that is definitely one. If you want to stay up, if you want to stay in this division, you want to go places, you've really got to beat the likes of Rotherham, even if they have been relegated. Pete Taylor says nearly every result went for us. It was bad. It's bad when I was keeping my eye on them all game. And I was doing the same. I was, obviously had my eye on the Blues game, but also checking the Burton result and Forest and everyone else down there. Obviously, Wigan lost at Newcastle. Blackburn lost at Brighton, which were the 2 that currently occupy the bottom 3. So if they keep losing, it doesn't really matter what Burton and Forest do, because we're not going to drop into that bottom three. But really, you do want to make sure that you stay up on your own merit rather than what everybody else is doing. Dale, he's put 6 points over the drop zone with 7 games remaining. If Blues can get results in the next 5 games, we will have shades of 2014. I'd rather it's not like that. Obviously, you really don't want it going down to that Bristol City game, but I think the next 2 are tough: Brighton away and Derby at home. They are tough games. As I said, Brighton on a night game at home, they're virtually there. I think they're 9 points away from Huddersfield with a ridiculously better goal difference. So it's going to take a mighty meltdown from them and Huddersfield winning every game for them not to get promoted this season. So that is a tough one. And Derby, like I say, it's not just Derby. It's everything that's happened to us over the last 3 or 4 months is coming back to us, and it would be written in the stars for him to come and put us in even more danger. Or hopefully it's written in the stars that the decision was proved to be right, and we can get one over him. Pete Taylor, Rotherham are relegated. They are. Steve Kimberley also makes that point that they're already down. Daz Hines says 7 to 8 points. Are you drunk? No, just trying to be a little bit more optimistic. As I'm on my own this week, Daz. I've got nobody to argue against, so I'm just trying to be a little bit more optimistic this week. Their last game against Fulham, I bet anyone on here they beat Sheffield Wednesday tomorrow. Yeah, possibly. It wouldn't surprise you. Obviously, he's talking about Rotherham. It does happen that teams play with a lot more freedom and they are able to express themselves a bit more. But I just don't think they've got enough quality at all, and the confidence that the whole club is at a rock bottom at the moment. And Sheffield Wednesday desperately need to win to maintain that playoff push. So I think we have to go there and win, to be honest. Daz, at what point would you throw Hale in? He looks like one of our better strikers. Under 23s and international at the moment, he's scoring goals. It's a problem that we have got. Jutkovic has obviously played his part. He has scored plenty of goals since he's come in, considering he hadn't scored for like 2.5 years or whatever it was. He has improved us, and he has got his fair share of goals. But Hale's someone that not many teams in the Championship will know, and he might just give us that added bit of something different that at this stage in the season might prove pivotal. If he can get 3 goals, if you threw him in and he could get 3 goals in the last 6 games that helped us pick up a point here and there, then it might be a definite option. Mark Wanwell, I understand the concern over relegation, but it isn't going to happen. Too many variables in our favour. If it was between us and one other team, then yes, I'd worry. But too many teams involved, we're going to be fine. Yes, I mean 3 games unbeaten now. We're not losing games, and every point helps. And I think Wigan are starting to cut adrift now. So you are looking at just one team. But I was looking at the fixtures earlier, and it's strange because you give teams numbers, and I look at the next 2 games, and I wouldn't give Blues anything in the next 2 games, but we might turn Brighton over. We might get a point at Brighton if we can make them nervy, and we might get something from Derby. So it's difficult to predict. Obviously, until you're mathematically safe, I'm not overly confident in saying that we are 100% safe yet. But I appreciate Mark's comment and his positivity, absolutely. Steve, Mr. Fun, didn't you predict nothing from the Ipswich match? I actually think I predicted us to win a couple of weeks ago in a very optimistic. But I think 1-1, really, if you look at Ipswich's results and our last 2 games being draws, I think that was a really obvious pick, to be fair. 1-1 was a big result that we would have called. Mr. Fun, you have agreed with me twice tonight already. What's going on? Honestly, I don't know, Daz. It might just be that I'm on my own and my head's gone completely. But yeah, it's good that we're on the same wavelength. Paul says, do you think the players are playing for the manager? Still think some of them aren't happy. Didn't Magoma come out in support of GR and saying he wasn't impressed with what happened? I think when the sacking happened, there was a few players that come on social media or made it clear that they weren't entirely happy or convinced with the decision. Once Zola gets in charge, really it's the player's responsibility to just, you're a professional footballer who's playing for Blues. It doesn't matter who your manager is. Your contract is with Blues. It's not with the former manager. Magoma is a strange one, though. I'd have thought he'd be straight back in after the injury and after the African Nations duty, but he hasn't. He hasn't featured, and obviously Zola has gone with the 4 central midfielders route. Lately, especially, obviously he did it the first time he did it was Wolves, and obviously that was a much improved performance. So whether he's just stuck with that, knowing that was the best performance, but it has got us 3 unbeaten. Obviously, it's ridiculous to sound. Don't get me wrong, I'm not over the moon with 3 unbeaten, but in the circumstances where we were, not losing games while others are picking up points is definitely where we want to be right now. Andrew Cave says, I forgot to mention 3 of those 5 points are against the Vile. I really hope so, Andrew, but I mean, they've only lost 2 games all season at home, however bad they've been. So that's going to be a really, really tricky one. Hopefully we'll have beaten Rotherham and Burton by then, and we'll be a lot more comfortable, and we'll be able to go and express ourselves a bit better in that derby. Paul Hipkiss, we've improved defensively since Bielik has come in for Cogley. Couldn't agree more. Just needs to be more clinical in front of goal. I'd involve Magoma, Adams and Frey a lot more. First point about Bielik, I think, is massive. I think he showed when he come on against Wolves that he was more than capable in this division, and he has definitely strengthened that back 3, back 5, however you want to see it. I think he's given a lot more confidence to Shotton. So I think that has definitely improved. Nothing against Cogley, really. Cogley could play right wing back in that system and be more than good enough for me, I think. And again, Magoma, Adams and Frey, especially Magoma and Adams, they're the ones you say that's pace. You look at that and you say there's a little bit more pace in there than what we've already got at the moment. Right, we don't expect to pick up points tomorrow, but I think if Brighton win tomorrow and Saturday, they are promoted. So nervy times for them tomorrow. It is, and the closer you get to that line of being promoted, I think we saw it when we went up under McLeish. I think we had a home game against Preston, and we could have got promoted that day, and we lost 2-1, and it had to go to Reading on the last day, I remember. So the closer you are to that line, the tougher it gets, and there will be a lot of expectation on Brighton. There was a lot of expectation on Saturday against Blackburn, and it took them until like the last 15 minutes or so to get their goal, and they only won 1-0. So if we can keep it tight, maybe nick something on the counter, you never know. 3 points from Brighton tomorrow. You heard it here first. That's from Gerard McLaughlin. Gerard, if that's right, then you're an absolute gem for me. I'll take that all day long. I'd give young Ronan a chance, says Reese. Again, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Daz earlier said about Hale. He's scoring goals, and when you've got a player in that kind of form, whether it's for under 23s or the full team, if you're a striker, if you're a goal scorer in that vein of form, then I would agree. I'd throw him in. A little bit of something different that we haven't seen before and that opposition haven't seen before. Pete Taylor says Hale is one for the last 10 minutes sub in the last game. I'd give him a nice boost for next season. It would. What would also give him a nice boost for next season if he got 4 in the last 6, But you're right. I think next season is one where you'd like to see the likes of Hale and Wes McDonald as well, who's on fire at the moment, scoring goals in the 23s. Ray says, I'd like to think we could keep Bielik for next season. He's slotted in very well. I don't know what his situation is with Arsenal, how highly they rate him. But if he was available to go on loan next season, I think I think he's definitely one that I'd like to see stay, definitely, if just for another loan season, because he has definitely improved that defence since he's come in. Reese agrees with Ray. Daz, same page as Mr. Fun, see miracles do happen. We might actually win tomorrow on that note. What are you saying, Daz? Are you saying we're going to win or not? Because that might be 3 in a row that we agree on there. So, Mark, Mr. Fun, you should fly solo more often and ditch those 2 hangers on. I think that's a bit harsh. I couldn't do it every week without the others. This definitely just a one-off. Brian Johnston, Zola out. I actually do still kind of I would agree with that. If it was my choice, I still would get rid of him, even though he has made us a little bit more solid of late. He still wouldn't be my number 1 choice. Nick Spall, good to have you on, Nick. No loss in 3. Can we possibly pick up that elusive win tomorrow? I hope so. Absolutely, I hope so. I can't see it. If we get anything from that game, I think it's a bonus. But you never, like I said, you never know. If it's 0-0 with 20 minutes left, the crowd might just get a little bit edgy, and you never know. On that game, obviously Zola has announced the team news today, and a couple of names that were mentioned that might not be able to play, Robinson and Davis. That made me think. I don't know what you think on the Facebook. Davis not playing. Does that mean Gleeson comes in automatically, or is there a change of system there in the midfield? Does he go 2 up front? And Robinson, obviously, without Robinson, my initial thought is Grounds to centre back and Keita straight in at left wing back. But maybe again that's another one where with Robinson not playing, we go 4 at the back, 2 centre halves and 2 full backs. I can't see him doing that. 3 draws on the bounce with the same system. I can't see him going 4 at the back. So my initial inclination would be to say that it would be Grounds centre back and Keita left wing back. But it will be interesting to see what he does with that, and Davis as well, if both of those aren't available. Steve Kimberley, after last week's show, big shout out and well done, Birmingham ladies. Absolutely. Obviously, that's my area really. Today, the women's Euro 2017 squad was announced very early. But for the summer, the England squad was announced, and England Blues ladies Ellen White was selected in that. So congratulations to her. And also there was squads announced for friendlies against Italy and Austria, which take place on this Friday and this Monday coming respectively. And obviously with injuries to players that have been selected in the full Euro squad, there's a couple of differences. And Blues' goalkeeper Sophie Bagley and Jess Carter have been called up for the full squad as well. It's Carter's first and surely not last full call up for the England squad as well. So massive well done to those 3 with the friendlies coming up, and obviously mainly to Ellen for getting selected in the full Euro squad. Daz, 3 out of 3 is the world's gone mad. Daz, completely mad. Reese says, I can see us getting another 1-1 tomorrow. I'd snap your hands off for that, Reese, definitely. Paul says Mr. Fun should do a half-time live show each match. I don't know if I'll be able to get away with it, but I'm more than happy to. Nick says it's a really big ask, though. It is a big ask. I assume we're still talking about the Brighton game. I think they've got so many goals in abundance up front with the strike force. Murray and Hemed and Baldock, whichever one of those players, they've got goals in them, and Anthony, someone like Knockhart who's creating them all. And under Houghton, we know what Houghton's like. He gets the team well organised, and they've got plenty of goals in them as well. So they're a really tough team to beat, especially at their own place. So close to promotion as well. So I think if we get anything tomorrow, it'll be an enormous bonus. Daz, how do you think we will set up tomorrow? Well, I just mentioned this with the possible players that are out. I still think we'll go he'll go with the tried and tested, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Keita come in at left wing back and Grounds to centre back to replace Robinson, and probably Gleeson in for Davis, I'd imagine. And Gardner supporting Jutkovic probably, maybe Donaldson, maybe Jutkovic will be rested after he played the whole 90 against Ipswich. Mark, does anyone know how much Zola will get in the summer? And Brian immediately replies with a big sack. If he's still here, assuming we haven't gone down, if he's still here, I don't know. I would imagine it would be similar to what he had in January. I mean, if they're gonna stick by him, they've got to back him, because it clearly, what he's done so far, it clearly isn't working. So if they are going to stick with him, they've got to back him to improve the team, which will cost money over the summer. Change of system over putting Gleeson in for me. That's Pete. Obviously, Gleeson's not Gleeson's biggest fan. Daz can't see a change of system against Brighton. I can't. One thing I would say though is it is a free shot. We're not expected to get anything against them. You know, they are where they are on merit. They're a very good side, and we're not expected to get anything against them. So, and I think Brighton will be expecting us to turn up with the same system. So if we did turn up with a 4-3-3 or something like that, obviously it makes us a little bit less solid, but it just gives them something to think about that they weren't maybe thinking about. And this is where I say about someone like Hale or McDonald, who could come in and just give them something that they haven't played against this season, and something they wouldn't be expecting. After all, it's a free shot, it's a free hit. We're not expected to get anything. If we went there and completely mixed it up and tried something completely different, it might surprise them more than it would surprise us. Ray says, I'd like to think we could start with Donaldson tomorrow, as he never really got much game time on Saturday. He did come on late. The same with Gleeson, he came on late, which makes you think those two might be the ones that come in tomorrow night. But possibly, I honestly don't think he will go different. So if it's one striker, it's either going to be Jutkovic or Donaldson. So we'll see tomorrow night. Brian says, not just Magoma, but I would like to see Adams getting more game time. I think with Adams, Zola put a lot of trust in him as that lone striker when Jutkovic and Donaldson were out. And as hard as Adams worked, and he did work very hard, especially the Wolves game, he worked his socks off that game. But he never really had that goal-scoring edge, that cutting edge. So possibly that's why he's opted for Jutkovic, and Adams has had to take part on the bench. But like I say, he could take part in that as a wide midfielder, moving in support of the striker. It would just give us a little bit more pace and something for defences to think about. Pete didn't read that, but he's right. As willing as Che Adams is, he's not really produced much this season in the grand scheme of things. In terms of goals, he hasn't. I think himself probably he would have hoped for a little bit more in terms of goals. But the work rate is there, the effort's there. I don't think there's any questioning that. Ray says that lad Knockout needs a good kick within the first 5 minutes. Certainly not going to condone that, Ray, not one bit, but you might be right. Paul says, we gave Brighton a game in December and we're unlucky to lose. We maybe need to go for it, as we're expected to lose anyway, so might as well go at them. You've got a point, and you know that's the point I made a minute ago. And obviously the Brighton game, the home game, was Zola's first game in charge as well, and we went 1-0 up in that. And they left it very, very late. I think it was added time they got the winner, so we did give them a game in December. I think it's different at their place. They are flying, and they are very good at their own ground, so it will be tricky. Nick Poyner says, very, very nervous about Burton and Rotherham. Without a win in either of those games, and we are in serious trouble. Yes, you're right, but if we are going to stay up, if we deserve to stay up, then you have got to hope, you've got to expect really to get wins in at least one, if not both of those games. Nick Spall, one win and we should be okay. we'll go with two wins, and I'm happy then. Mark Wanwell, agree, Paul. This is a free shot. If we just defend, we lose. In my honest opinion, go for it. Really, I think Blackburn did that on Saturday. I think they went there with the mindset that they were just going to shut up shop from minute one, and they hardly got out their own half, and eventually they got broken down because Brighton are a good side, and if you just sit there, the chances are then they are going to break through you at some point. So I think it is important that we give them something to think about with our attacking ability as well. Steve Kimberley, if Gray leaves Leicester as predicted, more money in the bank, do you think? I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure if he has a release clause in his contract. I haven't actually heard anything about him leaving. I'd have thought he'd be one that they'd want to keep hold of, to be fair, because with the manager they've got now, obviously trusting in young players, and he's certainly one that has, in a side that, apart from the last 4 or 5 games, certainly hasn't shone at all this season. He is one that's come out the season with any credibility, really. Daz wants my official prediction for tomorrow. Neck on the line. I will go 2-1 Brighton, unfortunately. Nick, Zola is said to be lining up summer acquisitions already. Will be interesting start to next season. If this trend doesn't alter quick, then the fans will really turn on him. I genuinely hope he proves everyone wrong. Do you know what, Nick? I do too. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he proves all the Blues fans that aren't with him wrong. Do I think that will happen? No. And your point about the backing, if he does get backing and he does make signings and this doesn't turn around, then it's going to make it even more difficult for him, because people are going to lose even more faith then. The fans, and then especially the board, because the more money the board spend and they're not getting the rewards that they're after, then it'll be even more difficult for him. Daz says 2-1 Blues is his prediction for tomorrow. My word, I think that would be the shock of the season if we go there tomorrow and win 2-1. Pete Taylor, Chuck Frayne tomorrow. I'm all for mixing it up. I think you're right. I think someone like Frey, just to do something a little bit different. Like you say, mix it up. Give them something to think about from a defensive sense, because I think they are fully expecting us to go and just sit there the way Blackburn did. So if you did do something a little bit different, just to give them something to think about. Brian Johnston's going 1-1. Has 3 out of 4 ain't bad. It certainly isn't. There's a song in there somewhere. Pete Taylor, I'm sure I heard there was a sell-on clause for Gray. I was rubbing my hands together when Leicester were playing awful and looking like getting relegated, knowing a Premier League club would snap him up. I think that certainly, if they were, I don't think they will now, but if they were to get relegated, he would be someone that would be interested in Premier League clubs, definitely. I don't think Leicester were the only team in for him when they bought him from us, so I think he's definitely one that is going on to bigger and better things. That's definitely a big shock if we do tomorrow, definitely. Nick, be an interesting atmosphere against Derby. Be just like us to win that one. Do you want the fans? I think as much as the fans are anti-Zola, most of them are anti-Zola at the moment. A game like that, it does bring everybody together. Even people that supported the former manager, and even if they still do think he was harshly treated, a game like that, and you do come together as one, and for that 90 minutes, he's the enemy again. So possibly it might just galvanise the team. It might just galvanise the fans, and we might pull that one off. But my only worry is that obviously he knows more about us than anybody. So Steve Kimberley, we just need to have a go tomorrow. Rather lose by 4 or 5, having a go as is expected, we will lose. Keita needs to start. Can't defend, but going forward attracts at least 2 players. I was surprised not to see him play against Ipswich. I don't know his fitness, obviously, but I was surprised not to see him in the first team. I think he'll definitely be. If Robinson's not playing, as Zola said he might not be, then I would fully expect it to be Grounds moving to centre back, and then Keita coming in at left wing back. So you're right. I think Grounds at left centre back, left sided centre back will give Keita a lot more protection. And it will give him the opportunity to bomb on a little bit more. And as we've seen before, he is one that can cause defenders problems, and there's pace there, and it might be down the left that we can cause them problems if that's the case. Penelope Wood is also very confident tonight, 2-1 Blues. Daz Hines says, how did you enjoy Friday night? If anybody doesn't know, we were luckily invited to the Tom Ross Appreciation Night. In the Legends Lounge on Friday night at Blues. Plenty of ex-players there. Dilly Adibola, Darren Carter, Gary Pendry, Robert Hopkins was there, all to celebrate the work of Tom in the Midlands media, and all he's done for Midlands sports. Really, it was a good night. Plenty of stories told. Photographs, and there was an auction, hopefully lots of money raised for Love Brum as well, which was the official charity involved. So it was a good night overall. There was good stories there. So Ray says, for me, Grounds and Issue have to get forward more, so I'd go with Keita. I would too. I would agree with that. As much as Grounds got the goal on Saturday, bombing forward from left back, I would probably go with Keita there. Are people talking to their people still? I believe so, Daz. I believe that's the case. Mark, this game could be a coupon buster. I think we are going to surprise a few. In fact, I fancy us to nick it. There's a lot of positivity. I didn't expect there to be fair, but there is going into this Brighton game. I just can't see them faltering. I think this is their season now. I think they've earmarked this season. They've failed the last couple of years. They've come close and lost in playoffs. But yeah, absolutely. I think. Listen, it's that silly season at the moment where, I mean, the game on Saturday, Huddersfield, Burton, I wouldn't have given Burton a prayer there, especially after Huddersfield had lost 4-0 at Bristol City the game before that. I'd have thought they'd have bounced back big time. But Burton went there and nicked a 1-0 in the last minute. So it is that kind of stage of the season where you get results that aren't expected. And absolutely, hopefully, it will be that situation for us on Tuesday night. Dad says, didn't get the chance to grab you Friday night, but I was part of the noisy lot in the corner. Do you know what? There was a noisy lot in the corner. Quite frequently thought they were going to get told off at some point. Quite frequently they were, mostly by Howard Gale. But yeah, obviously it would have been good to say hi, Daz. Quick one on the regular feature on the Tilton Talk Show Super 6. I've actually got to thank Leicester City. I don't really like doing that, but I've got to thank them. They gave me 5 points this week. I think it's done and dusted at the top though. 31 points clear is Mr. Ray Hobro. He is doing fantastically well this season, consistently well, and that's why he's so far clear at the top. So it's looking good for Ray at the top of the Super 6 with not many games left now, only about 6 or 7 weeks left. Where are we? Brian Johnson, I'm worried Burton will do that to us. Yes, it's a worry as well because we're at home, and Burton will come and do exactly that. They will come and sit and defend and hope to nick a goal in the same way Wigan did. And obviously, you really hope we don't put that similar performance in that we did against Wigan. But we've got to be the ones to go at Burton, in the way we didn't against Wigan. They're going to sit there and try and soak up the pressure and counter on us the way they did against Huddersfield. So hopefully we've learnt from the mistakes of the Wigan game and we can rectify that against Burton. And hopefully we'll have confidence from the Rotherham game, which is the one before that. Steve says, to be fair, Newcastle got out of jail Saturday. Huddersfield lost, crazy time in the league. They did, Newcastle only won 2-1 at home to Wigan, and Brighton only won 1-0 at home to Blackburn, and Huddersfield lost at home to Burton. So there's the top three were all playing sides in like the bottom four, and none of them won convincingly. So really, it's that stage of the season now where I think Brighton will take a 1-0 horrible win against us because it's 3 points closer to their goal in getting promoted. So I can't see a battering, but you know, if we can nick something, it'll be absolutely brilliant. Dad says Mr. Gale did tell us off quite a bit. Was funny though. I wouldn't like to be told off by Mr. Howard Gale as well. He's quite a big lad. Mark Wanwell, why worry about Burton? Let them worry about us. I'd love that to be the case, Mark. Of the Wigan game. It is a bad example though, because if they look at that, they look at a side that aren't comfortable going at teams and aren't comfortable attacking teams. Hopefully, like I say, we've learnt from that. When it comes to that game, we'll have picked up enough points where we have confidence going into that Burton game, and we don't have to worry about them. They have to worry about us. Ray says, still plenty of time for someone to pit me on Super 6 with Pat Spord chasing me down and Len from Australia. Yeah, I think Pat Spord is still second. 31 points is a big difference though, but I think there's 30 points available in a week. So it could all change very quickly like Ray says, but 31, I'd take 31 points ahead with 6 weeks left. Prediction for Derby as well is needed from Daz. And Ray has gone straight in with Blues 1, Derby 1. I think I would take that, to be fair. I think I would take a point there. If we got 1 point from the next six available, so the next 2 games, I think I probably would take that because they're tough games. And then obviously we go into the Rotherham one where that is the one we need to win. So I will I don't like going the same, so I'll go high scoring, massively crazy 3-3 draw against Derby. Brian Johnston wants to know this jump number to join the Super 6. If Ray is available, I think. Oh, there you go. He's put on below. I will post on Tilton Talk page, Brian. Yes, I don't have it off by heart, but yeah. Obviously, there's only 6 weeks left, but plenty of time to join the league, and obviously you'll be there for next season as well. Tracy wants to smile. Nope. Pete Taylor, you're much better at keeping up with the comments, Mr. Fun. Thank you. There's not as many tonight as there normally is. Obviously, we're only on the Tilton Talk page, not on the Keep Right On, and it is just me. So as soon as people see it's just me, they'll probably turn off anyway. But thank you, Ray. The Tilton Talk page. Steve Kimberley, draw tomorrow, draw Saturday. If that's the case, I mean, as much as I'm the first to criticise Zola, and like I said earlier, for me, he still wouldn't be my choice. But if that's the case, we're like 5 unbeaten going into the Rotherham game, which I'm hoping will give us a lot of confidence. If we've drawn again away at Brighton and at home to Derby, then I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go into the Rotherham and Burton games full of confidence. And if we do that and get results, then relegation isn't a concern at all. Daz Hines 2-1 Derby. Oh, Daz, the optimism's gone. Steve Wood, well done, suggest, and Sophie joining. Daz Hines 3 out of 5. It is going down here. It's not looking good at all, Daz, at the moment. Brian Johnston, former manager could rock up Saturday with as many wins at Derby as Zola has at Blues. Don't bear thinking about it. That is an alarming thought, isn't it? Yeah, obviously they won on Friday night against QPR. That is, yeah, well, what can we do? What can we do, hey, Brian? Daz, I'm turning off now. Was hoping others were going to pop up. Yes, I will be off very shortly. Obviously appreciate everybody joining and commenting. Just a short one this evening, obviously with the absentees. So Pete Taylor, former manager. Yep, obviously if you're a regular listener to the show, you're not allowed to say the actual name, otherwise it'd be £1 in the kitty. And I'm just not financially sustainable enough to keep mentioning his name. Brian Johnson nearly made me say it. Yeah, you keep trying, but no, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Thank the Lord for that. Yeah, so I'm desperate not to contribute any money into that fund. One point as well. Recently announced the Bristol City tickets for the last game of the season. Traditionally, always a big favourite for away supporters, but obviously, with the way the season's gone, it could be very, very big indeed. I hope it isn't, but it could be. Only 2,500 tickets have been made available for that. If the situation is that we need it, then I think there'll be a lot more Blues fans there than 2,500. And only £15 as well, which, considering you get the likes of Sheffield Wednesday charging you 40 odd, £15 isn't too bad. So I'm sure they'll be snapped up really quickly. Can't see that getting to general sale, to be honest. So, but that's it really. We'll go with this one. Pete Taylor, Reece Brown, keep or get rid of. That is a tricky one, and it's one that I think does need discussing, and somebody needs to get at the bottom of that, because there is a talented player there, definitely, no doubt about that. If you can get a good player out of him, then you've got a real potential, and someone even if it's just for sell-on value. But I think there is someone there that you really need to nurture and try and give that player the best possible opportunity to come through. Obviously, his loan at Chesterfield didn't go well, but I would like to see him stay, obviously, on the premise that he comes through and improves as a player, and possibly attitude as well. But that's just what is his reputation at the moment. Always next Monday for the GR, not from me. I need to stick out Tammy Abraham on the coach. yeah, he's a really good player. Probably, if Bristol City stay up, I mean, I think he's got nearly 20 goals this season, if not more. So for them to be struggling and he's scored 20 odd goals, it shows where their problems lie in defence. Steve Wood, Jess Carlton, Sophie Bagley, absolutely. Completely agree with you. Massive congratulations to those called up for the England squad. I think the Friday night game against Italy is at Port Vale as well. So if anybody isn't doing anything on Friday night and they want to watch the England women full team before the spring series, before they jet off to Holland for the Euros, and there'll be 3 Blues ladies players involved there, it's that'll be a decent trip. I think I might make that trip, actually. Nick, if we beat Derby, I will say GR words 10 times on the next live show and pay up gladly. If we beat Derby, then I'll say it as well. How about that? You can have that one. Storer, keep or get rid of. Very similar to Reece Brown. Scored again today. I think when he gets a run of games, he is a scorer and he can score goals. But again, there is an issue there. If you can get the best out of him, there might be a player. But that's another tricky one. Very similar to the Reece Brown situation. Zola, keep or get rid of. Easy one. Yeah, I think you're probably right, Brian. Nick could cost you some money Monday. Hopefully it will. Because it means we'll have beat them. Is that 10 times from you as well? You can have 5. I'll get 5 in on the show. Only if we win, though. If we win, however many times we've scored, that's how many times I'll say it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Obviously, just a short one this week. Get well soon, Chris and Nick. And see you very soon next Monday on the Tilton Talk Show. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.